Happy New Year. We'll get started. Welcome to the first TCC meeting of 2026. First on our agenda is to approve our December 1st minutes. Anybody have any questions or comments about the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second it. All in favor of accepting the minutes? Okay, any opposed?
I saw your hand.
Alrighty, approved. Audie just said that she will join us via Zoom shortly. Okay, the second thing on our agenda was to have Mark talk about the committee policy, but he is sick today, so we will need to reschedule that and move that to a future meeting. Josh, will you just check the next couple of meeting dates and see if it's open? Yeah, great. Thank you. All right, Jackie is on Zoom and Jackie reached out to me to talk about implementation of the climate action plan through the energy committee. So welcome, Jackie, and it's all you. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. As I mentioned in the email to you, invasive plants or identifying them, maybe trying to get rid of them is an item fairly high up in the climate action plan. When I say fairly high up, I mean that when people voted by putting dots on the different parts of the plan, uh, that came up fairly high. And so, since part of our charge is to provide educational meetings for the public, um, we thought that that would be a good place to go. I thought it was a good place to go. Invasive plants are one of my passions, so I was really interested in doing that. And we realized, because we knew that you had had a removal session last fall, we felt that it would be perfect to collaborate with you and do it as a team. Um, and the theme of it would be an, indoor kind of thing. This would not be a removal thing, although we could probably piggyback after people have learned all about this stuff, a piggyback an outdoor session of actually doing something as a follow-on. Um, but I see it as the focus would be on why they're so bad, how to ID them, what to do about them when they're not so big that, when they're not so huge that it's useless to try. Sometimes the best you can do is to control them and, keep them from going any further. And then what to plant instead. On two of those items, how to ID and what to plant instead, the Maine Extension has copious resources, as does the Maine.gov. So we wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel at all. But my thought is that we would probably look for a speaker, a presenter to come in. I know a lot about it, but I don't have the gravitas, shall we say, to lead it. But one thought I had was Andrew Tufts, who works for Maine Audubon. Have no idea if that causes whether he charges for that, quite possibly. But that's where I thought we could collaborate because someone on our committee said, "Oh, have you heard of so and so and so and so?" And I had not. So I'm this is how why I think it would be really good for us to collaborate because you bring some knowledge to it that I don't have. I haven't lived here that long. Um, the As we talked at our meeting last month, we would like to have it be in person and remote. So the thought is to do it in the town hall. Uh, and the biggest decisions we would have to make would be to find the speaker and find a date and time. So that's the idea, and I'm very much hoping that someone on the uh, Conservation Commission would work with me to work out those details. I will be the contact between the two committees. We only have 3 members on our committee right now, uh, so
Great.
that's a thought. So,
So today we'll be talking about our annual plan.
mhm,
So this would be one of the things that we would consider doing for our annual plan. We usually have a library talk. So I'm
mhm,
wondering if maybe the library might be a better place to hold an informational session. Not only
mhm.
because there's more room and it could be both remote and in person, but also because of the gardens there. That might be
Yes,
a nice place to talk about native plantings and
right.
maybe
Yeah,
plants on the grounds.
yeah, that was my first thought too, but Mark, who sits in on our sessions, um, thought the town hall would be fine. We're
Yeah,
a little bit concerned about getting space. The library is pretty busy, used a lot that way. But yes, I would prefer the library personally. Um, but any place where we have that capability of doing it both in person and remotely would be really, really good. I'm a great believer in Zoom. Um, oh, and there was another thought. I
anyone
just,
have any questions for Jackie?
I was looking at Andrew Tufts. He's actually from Topsham.
yes.
Originally, so
As
he
it
might be.
happens, his father is the head of the select board.
Oh, is it rolling?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
We might have an in there then.
Jackie, I mean, did you want to, who suggested him and did you want to take the lead on reaching out to him to see if he's interested in a talk?
Sure, I'd be glad to do that.
Great if there's, I mean, no cost, obviously, that would be great. And I don't know if there's anyone from Humane Cooperative Extension that might be able to talk to, and maybe that,
Oh,
trying to find someone at no or little cost. We have very little budget within our
yeah,
commission,
we
and
don't
you
have
guys,
one.
so,
Yeah,
so.
free is good. Yes, and I know a number of people in the Humane Extensions too, so I can easily reach out there. Oh, thought just came and went. Oh, the other thought was if spring doesn't work, fall is a great time as well. That we've got our hands full with stuff we're doing this winter, so it would have to
Mhm.
be, and it makes sense to do it in the spring or the fall rather than the depths of winter.
Right. The Maine Natural Areas Program has an invasive species program.
Uh-huh.
And I know Lisa St. Hilaire runs the part of that program, but
Mhm.
also it used to be Nancy Olmsted, but now it looks like it's Chad Hammer, who I
It's
don't
Chad.
know.
It's Chad Hammer. I
Yeah.
work in the same. I work in the same bureau as MNAP.
So that might be somebody that we could talk to about
Yep.
potentially giving a talk as well.
Yep. That's great. Thank you. I'm writing that down for
State botanist used to work for Stantec in Topsham, so that's a really funny little connect. Another little funny connection.
the.
Who did?
Eric Doucette.
Who's the botanist for the state? Yeah.
Yep.
I was also thinking it's interesting because we do like the fall event to remove invasives. So in this, like if we had a kind of a spring informational event, that'd be a great place to like let people like sign up for like an email list, like so that we
Yep.
can reach out to them and let them know like, right, if you're really excited after we're done talking today, like come join us in the fall. So,
Yeah.
Do some
Yeah.
hands-on.
exactly. It's a great way to get some town interest in helping with that.
Mhm.
I don't see any issue with us supporting or co-sponsoring a presentation by someone to help with the things that she mentioned, IDs, option for removals, alternative plannings, that sort of stuff. And, you know, and it has been something that we have done, not just this year, over past years, and I
Mhm.
think probably an event like that is something we can support most years, and certainly since there's interest from another committee here, and part of that, I would say we could support the initial meeting and then having an event in the fall where we actually go and rip and tear and
Very satisfying.
pulling out whoever the one that was pulling them out of the ground. Yeah, we
Oh.
need to make sure she comes back. Nipping them off. She's literally ripping them out of the ground. So, yeah, so I for one would support that if we can, if Jackie can contact some people. I don't know. where
Audie,
been-
can
Audie
you talk to natural areas folks and just put out a feeler?
I'm sorry, were you speaking to me just then? There was
I
an
was talking
overlap.
to Audie. I don't know if she heard
Oh.
me.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I had muted myself for a second. Yes.
Great.
Okay, great.
And maybe we can target maybe April
I think that would be great.
or even May, maybe.
Yep. It will, of course, depend on what the speaker can do. So,
Sure.
but we have some flexibility that's helpful. I'm sure this is going to take a whole variety of phone calls and emails to work out, but we've got some time. So, and I'm happy to work on that.
Right?
Great. Well, it sounds like there's interest from our group. Why don't you keep me in your emails whenever
I
you're
will.
coordinating this, and we'll do what we can to assist.
Okay. That sounds great. Terrific. So,
Thanks for joining us, Jackie.
I'm glad to do it. And so glad that this is that we can do this. It's I would have had to miss it. Okay, thank you, and Happy New Year to all of you. And I look forward to working with you.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Just budget updates was next on our list. Sky contacted me about what specifically we wanted in our Conservation Commission budget for the next fiscal year, so that would be July 26th to June through June 27. I updated the budget on the Google Drive to reflect what we had talked about. Just pulling it up. So we thought, why not put out a request? So we upped the regular TCC budget to the $400 that we had been getting before COVID, which would include the MEAC membership, some education and outreach, some invasive species removal supplies, and then we also put in a $10,000 ask for the natural areas plan update.
Nice.
So we'll see. I believe that I will be going to the select board meeting on the 15th. I think I'm gonna be on the agenda. I'll let you know for sure when I hear. But that would be reviewing the natural areas project plan that we submitted.
Can you send me a copy of that so I can share it with Susan?
Yep. When I know for sure I'm on, I will send it out.
Super.
But it looks like they're putting me on the January 15th agenda. And if anybody could come and sort of back up our request, that would be great. Which will include our budget request and also the program, Natural Areas Update Program request. And they'll be asking any questions that they have about the document that we submitted.
So do they
What
meet?
date was that again, Shannon?
I believe it's the January 15th meeting. And they're at 6:30, right?
Correct. Yep.
So that would be next Thursday. So
Yep.
I assume any minute now, the agenda will come out. And so if I'm
Let
not,
us know.
if I'm not on that one, I would be on
Let
the
us know
next
if we're
one.
on or off.
I
just so
will.
I have it on my calendar, but just.
Yep. I will do that. So that's the budget update. Any questions or anything about that? All right, I asked folks, the next item is what Chris mentioned, that we review our annual plan and goals for 2026. I think that in the it seems like maybe it might be better for this annual plan to be on the fiscal year, just because that's when our budget and our appointments end. So I think we should do it today, but in the future, maybe we should plan on doing it in like our August meeting so that we can sort of match up the dates. Yeah, so, or our June meeting to like make the plan for the
Yeah.
following
Oh,
year.
July 1,
Do it
so,
for July 1.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, that would make more sense.
So I'm gonna suggest that our June meeting has we go over the annual plan again, even though we'll do it now and then, but then we'll be on a schedule where we're matching the fiscal year budget for the town. And also our appointments, because whenever our appointments are done, our last meeting would be June of the year that our appointment ends. If we don't decide to reapply, so it would be good to have that match.
Is that how those dates are set up? They're
Yes,
June 30th of the years that are listed on the town website?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, they all begin in July and end in June. Yeah.
So this is your year
Yeah.
that you need to re-up.
Fast.
You want to stay with us, which I hope you do.
And technically how it works. Though I will say, it didn't work this way in Eric's case.
Right.
Because of just, I don't know.
It was sort of a weird
Overseeing-
circumstance, yeah.
Yes,
Well,
but
what-
typically if you have someone who leaves and then someone takes their place, the way it is usually that person will just finish up their tenure and then they would reapply to start a new
Okay.
tenure. In this case for Eric, he's just in as if he's a brand new member that just started, so he's got 3 years. But typically it would just be like, typically he would just be finishing Victor's. But
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Got it, yes.
We're glad to have Eric.
Yeah.
And we will,
Yeah, well, we were.
yes, you don't have to reapply, you're with us. So I asked folks to just review the ordinance that created the Conservation Commission, which is linked on the town webpage. And thought it might just be good to see if anybody has any questions about that, since that's our charge. And then talk about our annual plan for at least the next 6 months. So if you go to I'm just gonna pull it up. If you go to the Conservation Commission on the town webpage, or if you go through the agenda, there's a link. Josh is gonna share it. But it's our document of establishment, basically, the ordinance that established us. And the things, nothing on there, I hope, is a surprise to you. We're a 5-member committee. We have our appointments for 3 years. We're appointed by the select board. Did Eric get sworn in?
He did, he got sworn in today.
Oh, good. All right, so he's official.
Yeah.
We are required to file an annual work plan, and usually that happens in January. Now we're gonna move that to June, but we'll file our work plan from now until through June. And then usually in the fall, we update the select board on what we've done on our work plan to date. It also says that we're supposed to file annually a property inventory, but I think that's just if the Conservation Commission owns
No.
property for the town, or does that include our easement?
Town owned land, I think.
Yes, yeah, so
There's a book somewhere,
Yeah,
or there was, I don't know if it's online now, Josh, or not,
I
but
was.
we used to have a 3-ring binder. Again, this is in the
Yeah.
dark ages when I used to be a member, and it had a page for every town property.
Okay,
And just a description of the property, and And oftentimes when the town would acquire, let's say they acquired a piece of property that was a house on a half-acre lot. Obviously, our recommendation would be, unless it was somehow connected to, or could become a parking lot for a conservation area that it abutted. We would recommend to the town to dispose of that property, or we would not say anything because there's no conservation value of this property, so we really don't have a say in the matter. It's up to the town to decide. But if the town would acquire another property, there was a piece of lot that had frontage, and I can think of one specifically on River Road that had frontage on the Androscoggin River. We got involved in recommending that the town keep that piece of property.
And we
for
do
future
always
access.
do that,
So,
Um,
but
we don't have like.
we need like an
inventory
update, but
list.
we would need to have, okay, we've already done it for these properties that the town still owns. What other properties has the town acquired? And I don't know that there's that feedback loop happening, and I don't know if the town's acquired any properties that we need, but we used to get a list at least once a year. And we would go through and say, yeah, yay, nay, and decide, and that would get back to the town manager and then to the select board. On when they decide on what they're gonna do with a piece of property. That was my memory of how we used to do it. You may have done
Yeah.
it differently since.
I don't think that list has happened since Rod left.
Okay. That's.
So,
That
Um,
makes sense.
like when anything would come up, we would review. And we did all the paper streets and like, we've done property suggestions of ones that are appropriate for the Conservation Commission to weigh in on,
Hmm,
but we don't have an ongoing list,
okay,
which seems like it's in our ordinance, so we might need to like wind
get that
that.
one again.
You know of
Yeah.
such a bind? I mean, literally, it was in a 3-ring binder.
I mean, that's.
That was
helpful.
probably in your office or.
I was gonna say.
A
It could be in the planning office, we do have all.
I mean, I could always reach out to Rod and Bath if need be, he may remember.
Drawers of files and binders
I
that.
mean, it'd be great to get, it'd be great to, if it's, they were printed out electronic files that were just printed. And maybe it's available electronically, or we can get it scanned and it would be on our
Mhm.
Or
drive.
have an Excel file.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what we
exactly.
have now on our drive is, oh no. Oh, I closed it. What we have now on our drive is, the easements that we maintain. So there's the 3 properties that, it's like Mallet Woods, the Glades and. What's the one back by the Grange?
Oh, yeah, yeah, the one that goes and connects to the Squamsco School.
For
I
one.
can't remember the name.
So anyway, we have those on a rotation where we, every 3 years, basically rotate through them all. We do
The
one
one per
year.
year.
Yeah, and that's like the property inventory that I'm most familiar with, but that's just for the easements that we oversee.
Yeah, and I was just thinking the other day as I drove through Mallet Woods. When they did the original part of that development, which is the part that heads toward what used to be Rite Aid, now it's whatever it is. There was a piece of property there. But that was like the only one that was turned over at that time. There were other pieces of property that where they're developing now, heading the other way, heading south toward Brunswick.
Mhm.
There was like multiple pieces of property, but we only took over the easement to the one at the time, and we actually went out and walked it. It's
So
not.
each phase
Okay, you can
we
see it pretty
like
much.
added just.
So
to-
have you done that?
Mhm.
Okay, so I don't know if that's complete yet. I was just thinking of that the other day. That's one that. In the spring, we ought to go check out the additional ones, if they're ones we haven't accepted yet.
So maybe that's the one that we do this year.
That might make sense.
So,
I think we're on that. Like, as far as our timeline goes, I think that's the one that we're scheduled to do this
Yeah.
year.
so I'll clarify this for me, just because I'm trying to wrap my head around it. So I know that for certain projects that come up, specifically if they're requesting to be in a conservation subdivision, or if it's a subdivision which requires open space, you have to have an open space for a subdivision. In order for that subdivision open space to count, then it's at that time that basically they have to find someone who's willing to take the land, and it could be Brunswick Land, the Brunswick Topsham Land Trust, or it could be the Conservation Commission.
Correct.
And so are those the ones that we're talking about, or is there some other?
Well,
The three that I'm talking
Yeah.
about are the ones that the Conservation Commission agreed to manage or steward.
Okay, from from
And-
the previous subdivision.
Yep,
Okay.
basically, because
so it's,
no one else would take them.
Right.
the glade, right, yeah.
Because they're small pieces of property. I
And
mean,
they're not
they're,
really
they're
of
local, they're
value.
locally perhaps important for trail connections
Yeah.
or whatever. They fit within the ordinance, but you know, the land trust wasn't interested in them. The state of Maine wasn't interested, so we
Right.
ended up taking them.
So
But there
it's-
was a
it's-
bigger inventory. What I was talking is about is every year,
Right.
this seems to imply those properties we need to do our annual inventory. But at one time, earlier in the formation of the commission, we had a binder of all town properties. And I'm not suggesting we would go to those every year,
Yeah,
but that, you know,
but it would be good to review the list.
to
every
review
year
though,
and
especially
see.
new ones
Yeah.
that the town might acquire from lack of tax payment
Yeah.
or.
Which
the
we
town
have,
Just, yeah,
we have
buyers.
reviewed those over time, but there's no like running list, which
Yeah.
seems like it's a good idea to have.
Yeah, because I can get those, because I believe Victor had asked for those last year.
Yeah.
And so what I can get a list from Justin, the assessor, and he can give me a list of what are the town-owned properties, and
Yeah.
if there have been any new ones.
yeah, within the past,
Within the past year or so.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I bring that up because we're reviewing our charge and I'm making sure that nothing that's on our ordinance
Yeah.
requirements is slipping by the wayside.
Yeah.
So,
We haven't
Cool.
really, since, I don't remember exactly what day I joined this commission, but we haven't done that since I've been here. So we,
what?
I don't know what month of last year we did it, so I don't remember, I don't know that did we do it last year?
Do what?
Go and, do the tour of one of those, three, the Glades, the one over here on
before-
Pleasant.
Right before you joined, we did the mallet. Oh, what did we do? I'm looking at my list. We did Pleasant Woods and Mallet Woods in 2023.
Okay,
So I don't think we did one in 2024.
or 2025.
Maybe we did the Glades in 2024 and then we didn't do one in 2025.
Which
So
one is the
it's time to restart
area
that list.
behind that has the behind the low income housing that has the
That's the Pleasant Woods.
yeah, so we did that within the last 2 years. Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
I would propose that I have no problem with the rotating schedule that you
Yeah.
mentioned. There's only three of them.
Right.
That we do those, make sure we do them on a rotating basis, one per year. And that
That's
we
the plan.
also find the listing of town properties.
Yep.
And I'm mostly interested in the previous assessments that we had done about each one of those
Right.
and the value, so that we at least have that. And if someone proposes, oh, we need to sell this piece of property, we can pull out this sheet and say, if it matters, here's what we said in the past.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then every year just review the new town acquired properties.
Yep.
You know, I don't think we need to do anything with the ones the town's already owned. We've already made our assessment. It's any new ones. We would add that to the binder or add that to the Google
Mhm.
Drive. We assess this property, town can dispose of it, or we think we should keep it for this reason. So
So
that
I'll
would
put that
suggest that be part of our work plan.
and I'll put that on a future agenda to get the town owned property list and add Mallet Woods to our stewardship review. Okay. Great. So any questions about our charge and our ordinance, or did anything come up when you read that you had questions about or concerns?
I would just say that we need to make sure we're doing all these things on an annual basis.
Yeah.
There's other things that we do that aren't necessarily part of this, and no one was talking about invasives removal when this was developed. And again, you can call that maintenance of town properties or something like that, so I think it probably fits within this. Definitely make sure we do all this stuff, and obviously there's other things that we do that we can justify or within our duties that I don't think they're outside of what this stuff is.
I mean,
no.
they say may, they're not like you shall do these every
Sure.
year. So
Sure.
just pointing that out.
Sure. And
I
obviously
think
the
it's a
last
good,
one,
I think it's a good goal. I'm just pointing that out, that it's not like if we don't hit every one, we will get in trouble. The may gives a little
no, I'm not suggesting. we
leeway.
won't.
The only shall things that are on the ordinance are that we're made up of 5 people.
Yeah.
That annually we elect a chair, a secretary, and a treasurer, and we adopt reasonable rules of conduct. That our decisions are made by majority vote, and that we need to do our business with a majority of the members present. And that we keep records, which we do annually, so.
So we're in compliance.
We're in compliance, we're good, we're good.
The one on maintenance of the property inventory is a shall though. So that's a shall versus a may.
Yeah.
And the last one, obviously, the conservation plan is what we're working on right now, so.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
All right, so if we get back to our annual plan for 2026. I think we can adopt it now for 2026 and just plan on reviewing it in June. But the one we do in June will be like for a full year. Does that sound like a good plan? We'll just proceed as if this is our annual plan for 2026, but we'll revisit it so that we're on the right timetable. The first thing that's on there is the natural areas plan update, which we're working on as a priority this year. I don't think anyone has any objections to moving forward. We talked about that, but just want to let you know that's on there. We have invasive species management on the list, so it sounds like we should add education and outreach event with the energy committee. And I was wondering if we do want to still do a removal plan in the fall, do we want to go back to head of tide, or would we like to go to a different town property?
Well, I'd vote for a different property.
I'm not sure how much more remained to be done there,
Mhm.
honestly.
Yeah,
Was
we-
there a lot that we didn't touch?
I think if we did it, we'd skip a year. Go
Yeah.
back and see, because I mean, we hit it pretty hard.
We
there.
covered the area that, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That I saw pretty good. Okay.
Um,
Move on.
so if we do, so the other places that we had thought about working on before were the Foreside Fields, behind the library and the transfer station, but I think we could also add the town forest property to that as well. Does anybody have thoughts about? strong
Yeah,
feeling?
we had said the Farside Fields was gonna actually have to be a get money and get a
Yeah. It's too
Get a-
big of-
certified like a master herbicide sprayer to
I mean,
do
we
it.
have done some work there before. It's not like we couldn't pick a manageable project, but I think that that's biting off maybe a bigger chunk than we're gonna have time to do this year. So perhaps, I mean, if we do end up doing our invasives talk at the library, maybe we could do the library. The little trail behind the library. It's not a big project, but it could be like a nice tie-in if we do a talk there.
I would say that when we do our tours of the easements that we hold, that we should identify if there's any invasives on those easements. And those should be maybe a high priority for us, because they are easements, that are conservation easements. I mean, town-owned properties high too, but that would be something that would be good, and maybe we schedule those. I don't know, I haven't been to those properties forever, so I don't know. I suspect there's probably some over on this property over here on Pleasant Street.
I don't remember them being horrible, but
Yeah.
you're gonna find invasives anywhere we go, really, so.
Maybe since these properties are fairly small.
Yeah.
Maybe when we go do the tour, we just do the invasives removal while we're doing the tour.
Yeah,
And that's like a meeting. That's our meeting for that month that we do it.
yeah.
Would it make sense to try to gauge public interest at the outreach event? In terms of which properties are most valuable to people, which are most frequented?
Yeah.
Um. And allow the attendees to help us narrow down which are the best candidates.
Sure.
It might help engage them as well within the
Mhm.
control event.
So we'll plan for a fall removal event, but we won't set where yet.
Can we get Justin to put together, can we do a GIS map? And we would probably have one on our website showing all the town-owned parcels in Topsail,
Can certainly check.
just like for our
Doesn't
meeting.
exist?
I assume it exists or it could be made, but maybe we have that at the meeting. So that people can see, we print it out, have it up there, or have it on a screen, so that people can see, well, I don't even know what's the town own, I know they own Forsyth Field and this building here, but. You know, oh, I didn't know they owned
That's
that
close
little
to me.
parcel next to me, that's of
Yeah.
interest to me, you know? Might be good, so,
Sure.
and then that's more future planning. And not really related to our annual plan, but, sorry.
So go look into it, I can kind of see if we
I
have.
know, is there anything we have, or can we generate a GIS map that
Right, exactly.
has a, green or whatever color that. May be great to have one that would be like all the conservation properties, like BTLT land. And all the ones that are town owned, like a slightly different shade of green, but I don't know if we have the capabilities to do that.
The Bowden map had, I think, the conservation properties.
Okay,
Um,
did they have town?
I don't think so.
Did it have, yeah, not town owned.
I can go back and look at the maps later.
Okay.
All right, conservation easements, we're gonna make Mallet Woods our 2026 priority for our stewardship walk. The next item on our annual plan was the water quality.
Right.
Do we wanna put that on the back burner?
I didn't make much progress on that, largely because it was kind of a daunting task. Because there are a lot of directions the Conservation Commission could go, but all of them require money to begin and sustain a program.
Mhm.
And so I didn't make any headway on it because it didn't seem to rise quite high enough, I think, for me to prioritize it.
I think
I
you
think
were
we could
thinking
have-
about making a list of what is happening in the town.
Yeah, and I can still do that. I think, in reality, what we do with that information may be a little more challenging.
It might end up being something we could think about for implementation of our natural areas plan, though.
Mhm.
So maybe we'll keep the list on our radar, but actually working with the data would be a future activity.
That makes sense.
Then we had communications, which includes social media outreach, maintaining the town webpage. I think that our biggest thing this year will be communication about the natural areas plan update. And, the library talk will be invasive species. I'll say library talk because we don't know where we're gonna have it yet. Community outreach and communication with organizations. Jackie's already talking to us from the Energy Committee. It would be good, I think, to have a meeting with BTLT on the 2026 schedule. And, I can outreach about when that might be a good time to have that happen. We have Merry Meeting Trails on here as a possible group to talk to. We have CPIC and Pam's our liaison. We have Select Board, which we already have meetings with. We have MIAC, which we go to, Planning Board as appropriate. Is there anybody else that's on this list or any organization we want to make sure we prioritize this year? Okay. Conservation accounts and budgeting. Chris is our treasurer. We need to keep those things up to date. I'm thinking that maybe when we do our June meeting would be a good time to get like an update on our books. So, and
I'll look
like,
to Josh
in
for
like,
that.
in like May, maybe you can put on your radar to be
Yep.
reaching to Josh and making sure our numbers are up to date. Okay, and
I
then
think we've spent our budget for the year, haven't we?
we have $25 left, which I'm hoping to use for our bench.
Oh, we need to make a motion on that.
Is that allowed?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think we're allowed to use that for the bench.
Okay.
Sky checked it because he can basically take the bench, and if it was going on public property, it might
Okay.
be able to, but because it's something that he keeps.
So could we buy loppers?
Loppers we could probably do, yeah.
Okay,
I can imagine.
You like
I mean,
one?
I'll double check with Scott.
Right.
But I
but
don't see. why
how would that work? Would it be like we bought it and we're reimbursed, or would it be like you guys would go to Lowe's and pay loppers? Like what,
Town credit
how
card.
would that work?
I
Yeah,
feel like you guys would decide which ones you want.
okay,
And maybe it could, we have different accounts, but basically let us know which ones, and then I think we would buy it. And have it shipped to us,
okay,
like, I don't know, if it's on it or whatnot.
okay,
That makes sense.
I believe that that's how it worked.
all right. I will do
We
that.
have our town.
Not to change topics, we're talking about expenditures. I remember back when specifically we were talking about Mallet Woods and this town-owned easements that we maintain is having some signage.
We have signage up
Okay,
and I
Well,
have
do
extra
we-
signs.
okay. I was gonna say,
So
do we
that's
need to buy,
something-
do we need to buy more signs with that $25?
No.
Okay,
And that's something that we check, like when we do our annual or tri-annual inspection, we check to make sure the signs are still there, and if they're not, we put more up.
sounds
I
good.
have the bag of signs in my garage.
Great.
I
Okay,
inherited
okay,
them.
sounds good. Perfect.
Cool. They're nice. They're like this big.
What do they say?
The town conservation property or town conservation commission.
I'm sure I've seen them and just not hated
They're,
it.
you may not have.
Okay.
They're like little and they're only at those 3 properties. So if you haven't been there recently, you might not have seen them. And plus they get ripped off.
Yeah.
Ripped down. So usually we have to put more up every time we go.
Okay.
All right, and then on our back burner ideas are vernal pool checks, town-owned properties, master list, which maybe maybe this needs to like morph into our annual review of the list and moved up. And then tree committee, which is now
Is now part
Brunswick
of Brunswick.
Conservation.
They don't have a tree committee anymore.
Yep. But any activities we wanted to do with them?
We had a layer at one point where we had hired an intern or something to come in and do an assessment of all like trees on town property,
Hmm,
which mostly was focused on this area around town hall. I don't think you could go out and ascertain every tree that was on. Like it was more on roadways, you know, within the road right of way. So something
Like sweet
already
trees?
exists on that.
hmm.
I don't know if that's something you could figure out, Josh. Again, it was something Rod was involved with. He might have got a grant or something to do that. And I thought it was either, it might have been one of the Bowdoin students did it as a summer internship project.
Now, the only thing I know, there have been some past. Projects that have been done, and they're like story maps that are like you can go to a site and like look at it. But I believe after the students have been gone for a certain amount of time, sometimes those links go inactive. So that's one thing, but that's not, I mean, it might be a GIS layer that we have, so I can look.
I don't think it's not a front burner issue. I think it was more of a, if it comes to the top of the list, maybe evaluate what's already been done. And determine if we want to extend that, or determine if any of those trees are ones that are, gonna have insect issues associated with them, and important to track. Resiliency, like, emerald ash borer or some other insect that might, and it might be I think we changed our ordinance to not allow some of the species that we had recalled that were invasive or that were.
Actually, fun fact. I
You
just,
talked about doing that?
I mean, we were doing, in the planning office, we're doing a de minimis ordinance, basically, just changing like what you need, whether you go for staff review or full planning board review. And just as part of that, there isn't a section in our landscape ordinance that has a few recommended trees. And I just scratched that off. Cause it's only 5 trees and one of them is Norway maple.
Yes.
And one of them is the green ash. And so I'm just like, we just won't recommend.
You just
trees.
recommend, yeah.
Just, yeah, what we are recommending.
Native trees.
Is native trees, like a preference for native trees that are native to the mid-coast and southern Maine regions.
Great.
Good. Done.
That's been years we've been trying to make that change, so I'm really excited that it's moving forward. That's great.
Architect, when I look at that every time, and I'm like, can't have people calling the planning office, like, aren't you a landscape architect? It's like, we need to get that. I am not behind this.
Great. All right, and the other thing that was on here that we haven't talked about yet is mapping, but that's tied into our natural areas plan maps. So, Josh was gonna see if you could print us out a map, a couple of maps for our like discussion.
Yes, I think we're gonna, like, let's do like 2 maps and then. Let me look at what we had. We wanted one, remind me which 2 we wanted. One was like, was it the zones or just one with all the lots on it?
Well, I mean, we need to be able to talk about where we're talking about in the town with some like. So that we're all on the same page, so something that at least had like the town with the zoning.
Hmm.
Makes sense to me, there's also. The high priority natural areas that were identified in the original plan would probably make sense to have. And then we just brought up the town-owned properties. Which would include the ones that hopefully would include the stewardship easements, the 3 properties we steward, so. Those are the maps I'm thinking would be useful, just like put up every time we're talking about the natural areas plan.
I'm wondering, what if I managed, if this is possible, what if I managed to do, so one that had the lots that showed like the lot lines, that showed the town owned and stewardship, but then like the zones, like, I don't know if that would be too much color.
That may be transparent or something.
I was wondering, cause if I make the zones kind of transparent, cause there might, I could see if there'd be a way for me to combine the one with the zones. With the like town owned land, the stewardship land. And then the second one would be the one that shows the high priority. And then we could have those 2.
That would be great, something like
Yeah.
that, so that we can point when we're talking about places and. Just make sure we're all on the same page, that would be lovely.
See if maybe I can put them on like phone cord or something. You can just keep.
I
them.
have phone cord that don't buy any.
That would be great, actually.
There's
This is
some 24 by 36 phone cord, so. I have some we've used, you can just use the other side or rip off what's on there. We don't use it much anymore, but I have a few in
Yeah.
my office, I can probably scrounge up.
Can you bring us 2 to the next meeting?
You have easels too.
I have easels also.
Ooh.
I have no problem supplying both of those. The easels I probably want to take back, but the phone
Yeah.
cord you can have.
Thank you. Great. Okay, so. I say that unless people have other things they think we should add to our annual plan priorities, that I will look through this. make a draft and we can vote on accepting it at our next meeting if everybody feels good about it.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Great. Thanks for walking through that, everybody. All right, natural areas plan, let's shift gear, well. Maybe let's take care of like the updatey business and then we'll spend the rest of our meeting on the natural areas plan. So if we skip down to the section on the agenda, section 7. Eric was sworn in today. Congratulations, you're official, you can vote. And
Thank
then
you.
Josh, did you want to talk about the 300 Meadow Cross Road subdivision as like just to put it on people's radar?
Yes, okay, so let me just show you guys just the little. And I'll share my screen here so I can pull it up. So that Audie and Eric can see it. Okay, so. $300 Meadow Cross Road. All right, so this is the property here, and I can zoom out a little bit just so you guys have some context of where we are. So
Okay,
you can see, you know, we're over here. And then this is all the way in zone R3. So Eric, that's our, it's in our rural zone. So the only thing that I want to bring up that was just interesting for this property is just, it's a good property for us to, as we go towards talking about like the natural areas plan update, one of the things that we're inevitably going to be talking about is how our open space subdivision is currently formulated. And this property, basically, we know that there's interest in developing it, and they're going to move forward with the project. I don't know that, you know, if they do, you know, when they come for open space, it'll come here. But basically, I was just thinking that as the project runs through, I could just kind of like keep you guys in the know of like how it's going, because it's a good one to just see like what the considerations the applicant is making when looking at how to lay these out. Currently, the way that it's laid out, it looks like they would be able to get a maximum of 30 lots on here, actually, if they were to do the conservation subdivision, I believe. So this is just like a very basic introduction. I don't know what they're proposing yet. There's no official proposal at all, but just, you know,
this
put
might
in
be a
your brain
good
and
case study for us to look at as we're thinking about
Absolutely.
updates.
Start to finish, yeah.
Yeah,
yep.
Great in the process.
So this is just, we just know that maybe something's going on. So perhaps, you know, if something comes up and I'm like, hey, I have a submission that I think would be nice to share with the Conservation Commission, then, you know, I'll let you know, Shanna, and then you can put it on the
and it's somewhere up in here.
There's Meadowcross. So, and let's see, it's by the CMP. Try to look that little, see if there's a little street or something on that.
Is it this? Maybe? It's like over here, probably.
Okay, because where is that? I'm looking like even is that a road or is that a stream?
I think it's right on the border of one of our focus areas.
You think?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we purposely, when we did these focus areas, we didn't follow lot lines.
Right.
We just made these.
So
Yeah.
it's in the medium to high, right? It's not like a low priority area.
I
So-
think it's because it's close to, I mean,
Yeah.
it's close to a lot of properties that are not, it's unfragmented, so to speak.
I've
Meaning it's
heard.
not a couple of houses in here. There's
So
this
it's in the,
a lot of land there that's not developed, which is why that's why that area ranked high.
Yep.
Cause it's like the biggest undeveloped block of land in all of Topsham is out Ward Road.
Out that
and
way.
Meadowcross Road and out that way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like I was
Great.
thinking, looking at it, like you can imagine that if they did develop to their maximum of 30 units. And the reason why, the real reason that 30 is their like ultimate limit is because it would have to be a dead end road, and the maximum amount of units they can put on a dead end road is 30 units. So that's causing the limit there. But you can imagine that just for infrastructure purposes, you know, you don't want the road to go like sprawling. So usually you keep the road as small as you can. And so you can imagine, depending on how the topography is, most of those units would be like around the front area of the property, and then the back end will probably I would assume would be where they would want propose their open space.
Yep.
Which for us is perfect because that's where, you know, that's where all this other green space is.
Continuous.
Yep.
Right,
Mhm.
so just
Great.
a little, keep that in your brains.
Great, will do. So, that's only on our list because it's the most recent potential open space subdivision.
Yep.
Happening, not because we have any other reason to focus on it in particular. So those are the updates that I had. Does anybody else have updates? Or public comment or questions? All right, our next meeting is February 2nd here. And we'll see if Mark can join us, and we'll decide what sections of the natural areas plan we want to review for that meeting. Great. So as far as the natural areas plan update goes, did everybody get their copy of the plan?
I have Audie's here.
Audie, yours is here, so next time we see you, you can get your copy. Thank you for making those for us,
Yep, no worries.
and you're gonna work on maps. Good. I will keep you posted on when I hear I'm on the select board agenda. I don't have any updates for grant applications. The big thing was our request to the select board. All right, so we had on our schedule to look through the introduction and vision and goals of the original natural areas plan at this meeting. And I just want to remind ourselves that what we talked about doing, like the timeline that seemed to make the most sense is, while we have no funding for this, we should be seeking funding and going through the natural areas plan sections to see what work can we do ourselves over the next few months, with the goal of going through each section and making a list of what we can change, what we want to change, and what we need money or assistance to change before the end of June. So that's kind of our goal. And that we decided that this isn't a complete rewrite, this is an update, so we're gonna go through with an eye to additional properties, additional public input, changes to our maps, which we started with the Bowdoin students, and thinking about like how our current ordinances are used to protect open space and conservation areas, and whether or not we can propose changes that might make that work better. All right, so the introduction includes why do a natural areas plan? And as far as the update goes, reasons for updating it to me are the biggest ones that come to mind are the fact that it was part of the comprehensive plan requests that the Conservation Commission was charged with, so having it be part of the comp plan implementation makes a lot of sense. And there's been a lot of changes in our town since 2010, whenever this plan went into place, so we can do some adaptive management where we look back and see what's working and what's not, and are we protecting the high priority natural areas and open space that we identified in the original plan. Any,
We also talked about climate change also as being
Yes,
something
and
that's more,
that wasn't really part
more
of the original.
something we had all thought about 15 years ago. so
Exactly.
Plus,
Um,
I think something that's for this presentation about supporting the $10,000 ask
mhm.
is the figure that the Bowdoin students put together, showing what growth, what's changed in Topsom, what lots have been developed since this plan was done, and where that intersects with like our focus areas. You know, that might be a compelling, that and the fact that the subdivision ordinance we recommended has never been used. And the climate change, you know, that's a factor now. Those are some, that's more trying to sell to get the $10,000, but I think those are things that are important. Drivers, and obviously it was recommended by the comp plan and CPIC.
And that. Like our town has changed in the last 15 years, right? Like people who live here are different, they might have different priorities, so updating our town priorities
And then
consistently.
also going to be interesting because what comes out of the housing legislation this session might really could possibly change stuff with like the changing of the subdivision definition and all the ADU stuff, so increasing dwellings on lots. So it might be yeah. So that's an interesting thing to think of.
It's timely.
Yeah, and like re-gauging public impact over, you mentioned, the population change over the past 15 years, maybe some of the public's priorities have changed as well.
So the three primary objectives for the original were to develop a natural resource inventory, to identify and prioritize the functional values associated with the natural resource areas, and to create policies to promote and protect these values. So I see our update as like, okay, well, we need to update the inventory. We need to see what changes have occurred with these areas that were prioritized. And assess whether or not the policies are working to promote and protect these values. Like, we have to assess them. And if it's not working, then we need to propose changes.
Yep.
Um, So that was the
Most of it.
introduction, and then the vision. I think that maybe we should take some time to see how the comp plan vision, like, edit this based on the comp plan vision. Like, are there ways that the comp plan is supporting this vision that we have for the natural areas plan? So I think it's a matter of us like kind of digging in a little to see how that might mesh with the original vision to get a vision for the update. And then I thought we could like go through these goals and see, do we have the same goals for the update or do we have new ones? So that's what I
Want to do it
thought.
right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I thought we could talk about. So I'm on page 13, Topsom Natural Areas Plan Goals. And I don't really know how to like do this as a group. Like, do we just want to like read it off and then talk about it, or? Let's do that. I'll read the first one, but I'm not reading them. All right, number 1, retain and protect the community's rural character and important natural resources by preserving large blocks of undeveloped land for wildlife habitat, recreational activities, and protection of wetlands and water quality. protecting the community's high-value natural areas from development or activities that diminish their natural resource values, and encourage landowners to maintain working farms and forests, and by providing assistance from the community where possible.
Mhm.
One thing we struggled with when we did this before is our ability as a commission or our ability as a town
Right,
to do a lot of those things is quite limited. Specifically the first one. You know, that's more where we talked about partnerships that I think in the plan with the land, local land trusts and stuff like that. So it's not just all the town doing it. It's, and back to your point of meeting with BTLT and that being a goal.
I do think, so in the past, when Angela Twitchell was the director of BTLT.
Yep.
She very carefully looked at the natural areas plan priorities whenever she was thinking about prioritizing properties for BTLT to steward. So I think like revisiting that with current BTLT members and like renewing that relationship and partnership would be a really good thing to do as part of this process.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would agree, all of those I think should continue to be goals. It's how we accomplish that goal is more the.
So is that simply modifying 1A to explain that that action occurs in collaboration with area land trusts and other interests?
We did it first, I think we mentioned it further in the plan. I'm not sure if we pulled it forward, but it wouldn't, it would be good, I think, to say that here.
It might strengthen.
So it's, yeah,
that if it indicates that we're not acting alone.
Yeah, collaboration for sure.
Or overstepping, right? Like we don't have the. This is a recommendation, right? And we don't have the ability to make changes. We could suggest changes to it.
Absolutely, yeah, and actually, that's probably one of the major reasons for pulling together plans like this is for, it informs future code changes. Just similarly to how, you know, when we, as you guys are pulling together this plan, a lot of what you'll be looking at is how the comp plan, like how this goes with the comp plan, right? Any future changes to code, if it can be shown like, hey, this goes along with the natural areas plan that was adopted, right? It gives it, you know, it gives it a good reason for the town to want to adopt such a policy. So the end goal is really, it informs future town decisions.
We want to make sure that whatever the comp plan said is, make sure that's part of our goals is to somehow weave that in.
I'm also kind of wondering, I'm not like, I wonder, and I don't know, what you guys think? And sometimes we feel kind of hesitant on rural character, because on one hand, if you see rural character as meaning, like having ample natural resources, basically what I'm getting at, what makes me a little bit nervous is sometimes I wonder if it almost looks like it's kind of ignoring more the more populous areas of town. Like if it's geared towards like if the main goal, number one goal is retain and protect the community's rural character, does that mean that the more urban areas of Topsham are not like equally in consideration? I don't know. It's just kind of like it's thought, I don't know. And maybe the way that we think about rural is just like preserving natural resources. And if that's the case, then that's great. But
I remember one of the struggles we had with this plan is if you look at this map of all of the final focus areas, there's nothing highlighted along the Androscoggin River. And I think we mentioned something in the plan about that, specifically stating while through this process of evaluating all these various factors, that area just did not get heavily highlighted. And it was, I looked at it, I'm like, why is that not part of it, it's just, it was odd to me and it's kind of related to what you said. How do you spin that and say that doesn't belittle the importance of, you know, things in town, but the things like pocket parks or little, quarter acre pieces of land, I guess they're locally important maybe to the people that live in that area
Right.
but they're not as important to the bigger picture
Right.
of the town of Topsham and maintaining human life as well as, animal life and biota and trees and what have you. So I remember talking about it and how we don't. But it was we always talked about this plan as being more a plan for R3
Okay.
than anywhere else. And I'm not sure that it ever stated that anywhere or whether that was just our committee that developed that this was more of an area, more of the rural area of Topsom plan than R1 or R2.
Right, yep.
And I think a lot of the stuff that's along the Androscoggin might be, a lot of that was R1 or R2, which is probably why, and a lot of it's industrially zoned, up here on the Androscoggin, where they have, by the dam there and a lot of that's so. But it's something to keep in mind, so
Right,
we
exactly.
don't offend people, right?
That's the question, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, is that?
But I think if we're thinking about, I think about open spaces being included in our natural areas goals and all of the open space that we want to preserve in town isn't just an R3 issue, so maybe we want to think about like how do the words in our goals
Of course, all the,
bring
well, the
in
easements we have aren't in the R3 zone, right?
and how are we making sure that we're thinking about like housing needs when we're thinking about
We have to be careful because we're doing a natural areas plan. We might be concerned about how changes in state law might impact individual properties or areas, or how do we, when the state says, well, throw that out, you can put 100 houses on a 10-acre lot, forget about 6 houses like you could do now. But this is a natural areas plan. It's not a housing plan. The economic development, TDI, frankly, they should be worried about the economic development, and there's other committees, and probably the comp plan talks about that. It's like, what are the things that are important to the town? The natural areas part of it should be, we can't try to address everything, I guess is what I'm saying.
we did say in our program proposal that we would think about density and open space.
Yeah.
So I think we have to include it in here just
Sure, I agree with
just
that.
because we said we
Yeah,
would.
we're not coming up with a plan on how to develop housing in Topsom. We're saying, how does that, how can we do
But how
that and
can
still
we-
maintain natural areas?
Can we encourage the preservation of open space and natural areas
Yeah.
while we're thinking about that?
Yeah.
Even though we're limited in R1, R2.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that first bullet A under 1A it says, in protection of wetlands and water quality. There needs to be some mention, I think, in that first bullet of climate change. Somehow we need to I'm not sure how yet, but I think we need to weave something in there with,
Something about climate
and,
resiliency.
climate resiliency or something like that. And obviously, protection of wetlands and water quality helps with, climate resiliency, right?
Mhm.
Keeping trees and not, The last bullet, I remember talking about this a lot, 1C. Encouraging the whole.
I have
Go
a
ahead, Ani.
question about like how this plan intersects, and it's probably like my non-planning brain, I don't understand. Like these things that are listed, like wetlands have protection, federally and state. Like farms have, like we're never going to be able to like do any like touch what like DACF does for farms. Like how is a natural areas plan, like what does it do? Like is out of it like we're supposed to like suggest like increases in ordinances or something, or like changing in zoning? Like how does what we're doing and these goals like actually do anything? I'm sorry, that sounds so negative. I just am very confused by, like, all these things are already part of such a bigger network.
So, I mean, well, I was gonna say, one, this is probably actually the perfect time to ask that question, right?
Okay.
Because we're talking about goals, right? If you ask this question in like 6 months, we'd probably be like, ah. No, that's great. So the plans, they provide, one of the things that they do is they provide data. And they collect, and that's just data on, like, as we're creating the plan, that'll pull like data of natural areas around Topsum and like why certain areas are valuable. It gives us a chance to seek money to try to do those studies. And then with that data that we get from those studies, one, we can put that data, compile it into the plan that we can reference. And then two, then that gives us a chance to look at the plan and look at the data that we've compiled, and voice what our concerns might be and what things that the town may want to be aware of. So no, the plan itself does not create like a very like final sudden, like, that's it, like this is like a new part of the Constitution of Topsum that with the laws that must be implemented. But it becomes a data point that's important for the town to use in relation to other things that it does. And the data that's collected in that process is very valuable. So I don't know if that.
Marty, if you go to the, which we'll get to eventually, but natural area plan recommendations, the last section.
Recommendations and
There's-
strategies.
There's a lot of discussions in there on things that we would recommend or we recommended changing, quality of life fund, adjusting some of our existing ordinance to allow subdivision ordinances and subdivision review. So there are some things that do come out of that as far as recommendations, but you know, that needs to be then approved by the town. And then the planning board or the planning department then needs to bring forth those to the select board to approve those changes. And that's how it happened last time with this plan. So that's ultimately what we'd be working toward with it.
And seeing like of the 2010 recommendations, how many were implemented and used? And do we want to recommending the same strategies or do we have different ideas for strategies that might help meet our goals, which we're talking about today?
I mean, one thing when I was reviewing this the other night was the item 1C, the working farms and forests. But I remember years ago, the town of Pownell, and I don't know if they still have it, the town actually lowered the tax rate for people that were willing to keep their lots undeveloped. Or, you know, maintain a certain amount of undeveloped acreages, it was actually a lower tax rate. So that's something that a town could do to discourage development. And for a while, that worked in Pownell. I assume there's probably, and I think Pownell's still fairly rural because of that, and it's allowed people to keep land from generation to generation without fear of having these large tax bills. It doesn't always work, but it works in a lot of cases. So that would be a recommendation or a strategy that we could say, if you want to really do this, you got to tax people. And the tree growth tax law already does that for people that are willing, that have a minimum of 10 acres and are willing to put it in the tree growth tax law. The town could have a separate ordinance related to something like that. So again, that's another strategy, Audie, that could be used. I'm not suggesting we're not coming up with our recommendations yet, but that was a thought I had.
And kind of on that, just the last thing I'll say is that those recommendation lists, in order for the plan to get implemented, it has to go to town meeting. So not only does the select board have to like put it on the town warrant, potentially with the recommendation, but the people of the town have to vote on it. And so if the people of the town looked at it, voted, said that they wanted it, then it kind of it really informs like that this is something that the town should do, right? And so then you can take your recommendations as a committee and say, okay, we want to do these things. And the town voted and said that they wanted to do it. So,
Yeah, and if we had a closer connection with the planning board, you know, while some of these things may not have been written into ordinances, it is a plan, it was approved by the town, and approved, the select board put it on the warrant. This is a policy or something. It may not mean that the planning board votes, you know, a certain way on a certain subdivision or proposal or changes, but at least it informs them. And that's been used in the past to say, hey, the comp plan recommended this. We should keep this in mind when we're looking at this. Is this development or is this plan consistent with the comp plan? Is it consistent with the natural areas plan? Again, it may not be written in an ordinance, and someone may say, well, you didn't say I had to do that in your ordinance. Well, it says it in this plan, so it gives you a little bit of teeth. I mean, ultimately, putting it into the, you know, subdivision or any of your ordinances is the one that, that makes it law and requirements, but.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know we only have a few minutes left.
Yeah.
We only got through one.
Does somebody want to read number 2?
I will.
Great.
Preserve the quantity, quality, and diversity of outdoor recreation opportunities by improving public access to water, providing a network of publicly accessible trails, including waterways that serve as floating trails, and providing connections between open space areas.
Was providing public access to water like for recreation? Is that what that means?
Yeah, I think so.
As opposed to drinking?
Drinking? I don't know.
Well, it says outdoor recreation
Yeah,
opportunities.
Oh,
so-
gotcha.
yeah. The recreational.
and I remember talking about the fact that there's, there wasn't any, boat launch in Topsham, you know, all you gotta do is go across the bridge, there's one in Brunswick.
That has been discussed.
This,
for a while.
it's been discussed.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always need to be a formal boat launch, that you can launch a 20-foot boat with a 90-horse motor. It can just be a trick, you know, someone can hand carry a canoe down and stuff like that.
Well,
It
we
was-
have a couple now.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And we didn't have those back then, right? We have
Mhm.
had a tide park now, so,
Yep.
so.
And there's
this is
also
more-
the
and this is-
GLC property.
And this is less the protecting natural areas. This is more providing humans access to natural areas. Part of it.
Mhm.
So. And I think that was probably an important value that came out of some of our meetings that we had with the public is, you know, having access, you know, great, we have these areas, how do I get to them? So.
Do we want to say anything about? Providing that kind of access throughout the town, or are we happy with the way that it's written?
But I think with any. I think where it makes sense. I mean, I think about the land trust, Spencer Thompson Land Trust, whenever they have a piece of property, for the most part, they provide access to it. I'm not saying it's, you know, water access, but, you know, parking lot and trails and whatnot.
Mhm.
You can argue whether that should happen on every single piece of property. I would argue it shouldn't happen on every piece of property. But I think where it makes sense is just increasing, the ability of people to access the natural world, I guess. So,
I was going to add that adding communications, outreach information about how to
mm,
get to these recreational opportunities would be helpful, but I think that's covered in number 5.
got it.
All right.
I mean, I would like to go so far as a goal, and it could be very specific, is having a town-wide map of the properties that are available, like Falmouth has, and other communities have. We think we talked about one in other meetings where you have a fold-out, you can get it at the town office or library or whatever, and people can open it up and say, oh, yeah,
Or even just downloadable PDFs that have
Whatever,
mileage,
just
you know, on the
or
maps.
what we
and
have,
scales
it's not easy to
Yeah.
get to the town website to even know where those areas are.
And navigating by the maps
Yeah,
on.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
and that's a.
Yeah.
I would almost wanna make that a hard goal, that's something we should try to do.
Or we
Not part of developing our natural areas plan, that's a recommendation of our plan, and that requires GIS, more GIS expertise and stuff.
We could also add additional information to number 5. To make more clear.
Yep.
How that information dissemination could happen.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. I think we should come back to these at our next meeting, starting with number 3.
Yep.
And then what do you think makes sense for our next section to read through? Shall we look through the maps and see?
Yes, that'd be
Um,
fun.
Let's look through the maps and see. Are there any that we don't want to keep? And are there any that are missing? So let's have that be our goal.
Do we have, is it possible, Josh?
Hmm.
To have just small ones, like 8.5 by 11? Paper copies of what the Bowdoin students did?
I think so, because there was it was a slideshow, right? Yeah. I
Yeah,
should
even
go
just the,
actually-
even just a slideshow, so we see.
What's
What do
the,
we do?
what's the color situation? Would they have to be in black and white?
Let's check on, I can always print a few, the thing is to do 5, it depends on how many pages it is.
If you could just send me, if you can email us the PDF of it, I can print mine, I can print my own
Yeah.
copy, so I don't need you to print it for me. You just, if I could just get the PDF, Josh.
Yeah.
that'd be fine.
Yeah, I can easily
Can you
send
share
it
that
PDF.
with-
Yep.
I
Yeah.
thought that we put it in
In the
the
shield drive.
shared
Is it?
drive. I'll make sure that that is in there and available for
Yeah.
people to make.
I just wanna know what, here's
Can you
what we
make
did, and
a
here's
copy
what's
for
been
that
updated.
meeting?
Yes.
And then everybody, if they want to make their own copy, they can.
Perfect,
Great,
there you go.
great. All right, so we'll try to get a couple giant maps. You're gonna bring some foam core. We'll have some copies of the Bowdoin maps and we'll look through these inventory maps and see,
Yeah,
talk about maps.
it's looking for pictures.
Cool. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All right,
Hey, Eric, you gotta use your,
I didn't see his hand go up.
yeah, you gotta use your new vote.
I know you.
2 votes.
There you go, looks unanimous to me.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us on Zoom.
See you guys.
See you soon.
See ya. Good night.
Mhm.